Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Have another video here. I was sitting back looking at something on YouTube and it got my attention. The woman that I was listening to, and she said something that caught my attention. She said there's a difference from being a believer in God and actually having God the center of your life. And that is totally true, because one, you're just believing, and the other one, you're literally adhering to his ways and walking them out. And so today I want to ask you a question. Is God at the center of your life? And I just want to bring that to mind, that when God is at the center of your life, that means you're acting in the attributes in which He is. We must remember God created us in His image. So when God created man and woman, the intention was so that we will be made into gods ourselves, or goddesses, if you would like to be called so. The thing here is, there is something out here, a being out here, a spirit out here that is trying to go against that. And he's making things look very, very good and offering us the promises that God has already designed to give us from the beginning. But he's giving it to you right now with the snap of a finger. His name is Satan. And with that snap of a finger, we don't realize that what he's giving to us, we're not ready to receive. And his benefit from it is he gets to control you. And a lot of people don't recognize that, because we live in a world where, again, evil is shining a lifestyle. He's shining. He's putting people on a higher pedestal, and we're in a rush to get there ourselves. Because why? Because those people, the same people that are being promoted to those higher levels, are us. They look like us. They're mankind. They're people. And so we mirror ourselves. We can see ourselves and visualize ourselves being in there also. Like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. And so we're rushing. We want to get there, so we end up compromising in many different ways, and not realizing that once we compromise, we take the authority out of our hands that God gave us from birth to rule your life, to control your life and the things in it. And we give it over to someone else to control our lives, to control our movements, to tell us we have to be here and be there. And that wasn't the design for you. That was never the design for you. So I ask you, is God at the center of your life? Because if God's at the center of your life, then, hey, you're not being controlled. You're controlling your life. You're moving when you want to. So that's the difference there from being a believer and having God be the center of your life. Because there are a lot of believers in the world. They believe in God, but at the same time, they're not willing to solely just walk with God. And that's okay. We understand that. Even scripture speaks about it in Corinthians. God understands, especially when you get your family and different things like that, and because we have done things out of order, and we haven't practiced God's way, which is one of them, it's patience and understanding that there's an order in life. And if you have that order and patience and discipline, which are the attributes of God, then your line, everything will happen in due time, and everything that you actually have in life right now that you wanted when you wanted it, it's going to come to you automatically, but it's going to come to you in a due time. It's going to come to you in an order, so you can avoid the stress, the heartache, the pain in your life, even the failures of the life. That doesn't necessarily mean that you won't be successful, but that it won't happen at all if you walk with God. So these are the things. Do you have God centered in your life? Because when you have God centered in your life, you can avoid that worry, that stress, that pain. You can avoid being controlled. You can avoid having to be under somebody else's rulership and authority, and their rules, their mission statements, and their visions. You can have the vision God gave for you. A lot of us have God's visions that He's given us, but we're not even pushing it. We're pushing someone else's vision. And so, guys, I have to speak that to you. It's one thing to be a believer, and it's another thing to have God at the center of your life. So I ask you, is God at the center of your life? If not today, we have to make a choice. We have to make Him the center of our lives, because that's what He designed from the beginning. That's the main reason we, as human beings, as mankind, are even here. so God can be at the center of our lives. When we don't have him at the center of our lives, we're following behind someone else. They have authority over us. When we walk with God, we have full authority over our lives, and God is the head of our lives. God speaks to us. He tells us the way, and we follow it out. We have that control. No one physically here on earth, no physical man or physical woman will have that control over you. And me right now, I'm speaking to man right now when I say that phrase. Has physical control of you. No physical being here. But we look towards the heavens. We look towards God, the spirit that is within us. We listen. We're obedient. We submit. And we walk in the ways of God. We walk in the ways that Jesus spoke about. That's why Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. He meant follow my ways. Look towards me to know the path to go, to walk with God and live an abundant life and receive all of the blessings and promises that God has ordained for mankind in this world. So we got to wake up, guys, and we got to understand that, again, is your life centered around God? Or are you doing your own thing? Or are you falling victim to the evil intentions? Are you being controlled? Are you being dependent on someone or something? Are you being dependent on that? As men, we were created to rule. Are you being dependent on something? Are you being dependent on someone? Our dependency should be on God, because God is trying to lead us to independency, not away from him, but independency to do his will. God trusts us. He loves us. But we have to come under his rules so he can show the way. It requires belief, yes. It requires faith to walk it out, to ignore what the evil intentions in this world is trying to paint a picture of, to make you think you're crazy, you're off for following down a path that physically in this world people aren't doing. People think, people go homeless, and in this world they have a certain feeling about a homeless person. That person's homeless. They feel sympathy, or they feel sorry, or they're like, oh, that it feels a superiority over a person who's homeless. Did you know during Jesus' ministry, he traveled from place to place? He never had a place to rest his head. Meaning, at the end of every night, he didn't go back to his home. Did you know that during his ministry, Jesus was homeless? He found places to rest his head. He rested them wherever he felt comfortable, wherever he felt that God's presence was at. But Jesus was homeless during his ministry. Did you know that? But the world we live in, it wants to paint these things as you're never supposed to be homeless. No, you're not supposed to go without. That's not what God wanted. Listen, this world is not our world. We're not to be of it. And to be in this world and to be homeless when you're walking with God, it's not a bad thing. Some people have homes and they're tied. Some people have homes and they're tied up in so many different ways. They wish they could get away. And that's the power of what evil is trying to do. Get you trapped up and entangled in so many different ways. You have no choice but to stay dependent on him. Dependent on his evil intentions. That's what he does. He shines glitz and glamour and say, hey, you can have the house and the cars and a great job. But the benefit of that is you give him your control, your power to control your own life. That's what he's after. So he has no problem shining these things in front of your face. Because as people, we think selfishly. So when we're looking at these things, we're just thinking, oh, I get to have this, I get to have that. I'm going to be all this and I'm going to be all that. never realizing, wait a minute, what does the other person get out of this? And we're thinking, well, they get paid too. You know, we just got to go and do the work. Not realizing the spiritual side of things. Not really realizing what's really going to happen is you're turning over your power as a man, as a human being that God has given you. You're turning over your authority to move and go and talk when you want to open your mouth and speak when you want to show love when you want to. You are turning over all that power, and that power is priceless. No amount of money a job can give you. And let's be clear, what Satan is offering you, God already has for you. But God is going to give it to you in order, in due time. So when you receive it, you're going to receive all that and more. You're going to be highly intelligent and aware. You're going to be abundantly blessed. And guess what? You're going to have the authority God has designed for you to have from birth. You're going to be able to move when you want to move, talk when you want to talk, make decisions according to God's way, because you walk in His way. You adhere to Him. You trust in Him. You have a relationship with Him. You know, it's not about just relationship with man controlling you. That's not it. That's an illusion. God created man to rule under His authority. And with that being said, you have the world. God created the world for us. Satan is trying to take your ownership, your birthright that has been given to you, to the authority of owning this world, so he can control you. So he can control you, and by him controlling you, he then controls the world. Guys, I love you, and I just ask you one last time. Are you a believer? Are you just a believer? Or is God centered in your life? There is a difference. I love you guys, and I pray that these messages are continuing to help you grow spiritually, are influencing you to continue your walk with God, and actually put on that armor, put on those principles, and walk in it, and have that relationship with them, because attributes and the characteristics He's given us without God, you're ultimately going to end up giving to Satan. You know, and that's what Satan is doing. He's taking God's ways, because we give him our authority, and he's manipulating it and making it hypocritical, and making it more difficult for God's people. But I tell you one thing, God will never be downplayed. God is way more powerful, and God will keep rising up, and continue to move forward. And the power is way stronger. So I just say to you guys, I pray you choose the right way. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Later on.